Brendan. I see your name pop up.
There she is.
Okay.
Piling in. Here we go.
Awesome. Okay. I am getting us up on Facebook Live as always. Everyone, we are at the Northwood School Innovation Hub, where Dill went to high school, but they didn't have this nice hub.
Oh my gosh.
When Dill went to high school.
We'll take you guys
Changed a little
through
bit.
this next week and we'll figure out how to get, yeah, it's unbelievable.
Uh-oh, what's going on here? They've changed my stuff. Facebook is rearranged. It's a different look, but that's good. We figured it out.
Bill Hensel. Wow.
Oh, Bill's on there. Awesome.
Jennifer. This is, yeah.
Yeah, blast from the past, right, Brendan? Bill Hensel.
Oh, Hansel, hey man.
Okay, look at
25
me.
years on.
All
Amazing.
right, and I think we have your sister, right, Brendan?
Well, if you have Pam Dibbs, that'll
Yeah,
be her.
Pam's on.
There
Yeah.
we go.
Hi, Brendan's sister. I don't think I got to meet you on the torch relays, but
No, she was in the UK back then, I think,
yeah.
before she moved to Seattle to
Oh,
become a
great.
hipster. She became a hipster with her husband.
Uh-oh.
It happens.
Hey Raymond.
So great. So everybody, welcome to the Intrepid Spirits. I'll turn it over to Josh, but parting the not good studio lighting here. But we wanted you guys we're at the peak of the leaf season in Lake Placid, so it's beautiful Mirror Lake behind us. And we're at the Northwood School Innovation Hub, which is where Dill actually went to boarding school and kind of set who he is today. Now, they did not have this beautiful building here when he was at school, but that's all right. And hopefully we're talking to Brendan. Hopefully we'll get quite a number of you one day to come speak to the students here, because it's all about helping these young, and they're from 20 plus countries, to be successful entrepreneurs and also successful winter athletes and football, soccer players from around the world. So with that, Josh, I'm gonna let you get us going.
Yes. All right. Well, welcome everybody. September 28th today. Glad to have everybody on board. Looks like a few more piling in. We have a great speaker today, Brendan Harris, phoning in from over in Italy. Very happy to have him on board. Always a delight. Always a lot of information will be pouring out. So look forward to this one. Few housekeeping notes. As you guys, I think you know, if you've been joining the episodes before, Facebook, the Intrepid Spirits Network Facebook page is where we get together and share all of these videos. You can watch any past episodes or this episode, ask more questions, do more follow-up, and reconnect with our network on the Facebook page. So please go and do that. If you have any comments, questions, or thoughts as we hear from Brendan today, please put that down in the chat. And we'll be able to ask Brendan as many of those questions or thoughts as we can towards the end of the episode here, towards the bottom of the hour. So with that said, I don't want to waste any more time. Over to Dylan. Susan. Beautiful colors back there. Thanks for sharing.
I hope you see them. Okay, the sea is dangerous and its storms are terrible, but these have never been sufficient reasons to remain ashore. Unlike timid souls, intrepid spirits seek victory over those things that seem impossible. It is with an iron will that they seek to go on the most daring adventures, to meet the shadowy future without fear and conquer the unknown. Now, quickly, I just got to say a couple quick things for my friend Brendan. The foundation promotes health and economic well-being by providing the best inclusive community engagement programmers in sports, education, and inclusion. This will include promoting both individual and group success whilst raising achievement and aspirations amongst the local community. We are West Ham. That's your mission statement. It's the 17th most valuable soccer club in the world. Our rival is Millwall. Never heard of them, but we hate those guys. Oh, and their song is "We Are Forever Blowing Bubbles." I don't know that song yet. I got to get that. I'm going to watch that. That's funny as hell, Brendan. And, oh, by the way, the Queen of England is a secret West Hammer fan. So I leave that to Sunshine and take it away, guys.
So for those that you
I
may
thought
not,
you enjoyed that, Brendan.
for those that you may not know, that's Brendan's team, right?
Absolutely.
So I want to introduce you not only who his team is, but he actually studied at Oxford and INSEAD, and he joined Coke in 1994. And that's where we got to meet Brendan and work on the Olympic torch relay. And I think that's where Jennifer and several, Lori and Bill and lots of us on the call got to meet Brendan and just enjoy his intelligence and his wit, and the guy that would drink milk with every meal and never eat cheese. Never made sense to me, but whatever. And so he spent quite a while at Coke, being president of Coke Africa, president of Coke Italy, and then he decided to join our side of the world and become an entrepreneur. And so he helped found the company Frush, which is a smoothie. And then he decided to move to Tuscany, which I think we all would love to go visit. And hopefully after COVID, we can. And then in 2019, he started a company called Heaven, which I love the name of that company, Brendan. And so with that, he's going to tell us a little bit about entrepreneurship in the COVID world, because he started Heaven, like 3 months before it all hit. So with that, Brendan, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Actually, you know what, Bill? I didn't know about the Queen, but I can tell you that Barack Obama is a West Ham fan. He is on public record as saying that when he lived in London, he got very interested in English football and became a fan of West Ham and always checks the results on a Saturday for West Ham. You didn't know that about my club.
Great. Well, Google says the Queen is too. So you got two good fans.
Listen, thank you so much for the introduction and the chance to speak tonight. And I'm going to talk about entrepreneurship and startup businesses, and specifically about COVID. As Susan said, I started a company last year, not on my own. I started it with two of the smartest people I've ever met. Inga is 31 years old and Katerina is 26, which means their ages added together are less than my age. So this is quite an unusual, blend of youth and experience, I could say. These two are not only smart, they're driven, they are natural born leaders, they're full of ideas, full of energy, full of drive. And, they've decided, instead of joining a big corporation where, to be quite honest, they could have walked into any job they want with a fat salary, which I can tell you they don't get at Heaven, a pension, the perks and benefits, a company car, good God, whatever they want. Instead, they've decided to go down a different path and sink their money and their time and their future into a startup business. I mean, you could say actually that it's almost irrational to do that. I mean, you have to be certifiably insane to go and launch your own company. Let me give you some of the statistics. In the United States, every year, about 750,000 new businesses are created from scratch. When you consider that a lot of businesses have more than one founder, that's more than 1 million Americans every year who take that first step into the unknown. 2 years later, 20% of them have gone bust. In 5 years, 50% of them have gone bust. Okay. Only 1 in 4 actually makes it long term. So when you take that first step and you go into starting your own company, you've got a 1 in 4, all things being equal, you've got a 1 in 4 chance of that business succeeding. I mean, it's a jaw-dropping casualty rate. It's a casualty rate nobody would accept, going into a big company. You really got to take your hat off to all the people that decide they're going to do it, especially, by the way, the younger people, the younger generation of entrepreneurs who say, I'm going to leave college, I'm going to go and start my own company. They are absolutely awesome taking that first step. 1 million Americans every year. By the way, the number's kind of similar in Europe as well. And what I wanted to talk about specifically was how has COVID-19 and the draconian response of governments all over the Western world, how has it affected the world of startups. Unfortunately, the news is not good. It has been absolutely decimating for the startup sector. Some have done well. You know, if you're an entrepreneur and you're starting a company making face masks and sanitizing gel, you know, and you've got a proprietary technology, you're in business and you're going to get funding. But most small businesses are not like that. Most startups are cafes and restaurants and service business like dog walking and plumbers and electricians, and most people go into business doing something they know. So for those people, you could say everything has changed in the fundraising world particularly. And people are asking themselves, you know, what's the world going to look like after this whole COVID-19 thing has passed? It will pass, by the way. This I can tell you absolutely for sure. And nobody really knows why. And so what I wanted to talk about was, you know, specifically with startups, they've got this unique issue, which is all around risk, you know, the risk of going bankrupt. Why do they go bankrupt? Well, I remember this thing a doctor once said to me. He asked me a question, this doctor friend of mine. He said, what's the cause of death? And I said, what's the cause of whose death? He said, all death, all human death is caused by the same thing. And I was thinking, you know, cancer, no, it can't be that, it can't be heart attack. He said to me, loss of blood to the brain. It's the cause of death in 100% of human beings, loss of blood to the brain. And there's an equivalent in business, which is you run out of cash. You know, profit has nothing to do with it. As long as you have cash in the bank, you can pay the bills, you're in business. The minute your cash runs out, you file for bankruptcy. It's that simple. It's all about cash. Startup businesses are looking for cash. There's only two ways they can get cash. It's a very simple thing. It's either debt or equity. There isn't anything else. Debt is great. You know, look how cheap it is to get personal loans these days. And you might think, well, what a great idea. But the problem is, no bank is going to lend money for your business unless they have collateral security. In 99% of cases for young entrepreneurs, that means it's your house on the line. You'll get the money from the bank if you give them the keys to your house if the loan goes bad. Now that means when you do that, you've got a 1 in 5 chance, not only of losing your job and your income, but also of losing your house at the same time. And that's why kind of rule number 1 is never give personal guarantees to anybody for anything in a startup business. So that leaves you with equity. That's your route into getting things started. Equity, what does that mean? That means you turn up with your PowerPoint deck. In America, you have this thing called Shark Tank. In the UK, it's called Dragon's Den. There's a sort of version of it in every country. And although it's sort of TV entertainment to some extent, it's very, very real. You pitch up as a group of entrepreneurs, you've got a bunch of potential investors in front of you, and you have to convince them to give you the startup cash. By the way, you've got to convince them to do it on terms that you can live with. Some of them will just take the whole business, you know, to give you $100,000 and you end up with nothing. You need to be on your best game when you go into those meetings, because they're not coming into those meetings thinking, I'm going to invest in this company. They're seeing you and 10 other businesses, you know, and you've got to try and convince them. We've actually just been through, before we launched this year, Kate, Inga and I, we went through all our funding rounds and we did a roadshow. You know, we did, I don't know how many, Kate and Inga will know better than me, maybe 30 potential investors. We did the whole thing. We did the whole Shark Tank, blah, blah, blah. And we got 10 investors to put the money up. And we raised actually more than we were planning to raise. And we closed everything on the 15th of January, 8 weeks before the Italian government closed the country. They closed the country, literally the entire country was completely closed. So we got a little bit lucky, you could say. And over the years that I've been doing, this is my 5th startup. And over the years, I've done so many of these Shark Tank presentations for one thing or another. And I can tell you that everything has changed with COVID, because it used to be with these Shark Tank meetings that there were 3 boxes you need to tick. It's like 3 hurdles you need to jump. Number 1 is the market. Number 2 is the idea. And number 3 is the people. That's it. Everything else is fluff. The investor wants to know, tell me about this market. Is the market growing? Who are the competitors in it? What does the margin structure look like? What are the challenges in this market? Is it an interesting market for me to invest in? Second thing is, I want to know about the idea. What's your idea? Why is your idea special, different? What's going to make you win in this market? And thirdly, I want to know about the people. Why are you the right team to get this business off the ground? And how do I know you guys are going to die in a ditch to make this business work? You satisfy them on those 3 points. Generally speaking, you're in great shape and you've got the investors on the hook. Now there's hurdle number 4. It's never been there before. It's the 4th box you need to tick, and it's called the COVID box. Can your business survive a lockdown? What's your business going to look like if the post-COVID world is one of face masks, social distancing, hollowed out cities, no more going to the restaurant and the pub, everyone sitting at home online? What's your business going to look like if this Orwellian dystopia materializes? I don't think it will, by the way, but investors are asking that question. And nobody is able to answer that 4th question. Nobody can show that their business will be resilient in a COVID-19 world, because nobody knows what the post-COVID-19 world's going to look like. And anybody who says they do know has probably got a book to sell, and you should just steer really clear of them. And because of that, the funding world for startups has frozen. It's absolutely frozen. I mean, yes, if you're doing medical technology that's supporting virus research, you're probably going to get funding. As I said, there's a few things like tech online delivery things, which people are still putting money into, but that's a tiny fraction. For the rest of the startup world, it's frozen. You know, that 750,000 number, forget it. It's down in the US, I think 70% in the last 3-4 months, new business creation. And we ought to be really, really worried about this, because you can't overstate how vital small businesses, startups are to the world economy. And if you start with jobs, 50% of all the new jobs created in America are created by startups. You know, the multinationals, let me tell you something. Susan and I, you know, we both work for the Coca-Cola company. Multinationals are looking right now at how they can use COVID-19 as an excuse to shed as many workers as they possibly can. Just let me tell you that right up front. This is the excuse they've always wanted. And they are sitting in rooms in committees thinking, how many can we get rid of? Because all we need to do is say it's because of COVID, and nobody asks any questions. No more consultation with the workers' councils in Europe or public backlash in the media. You can just get rid of people and say it's because of COVID. That's what they're doing. If we're waiting for the big multinationals to find all the jobs for our young people in the next 10 years, I'll tell you what, we're going to be very disappointed. Startups, they're the opposite. They're hungry for people. The first thing they do when they raise money is they go and start hiring people. They love hiring people. They need to build a team. We've just done it, actually. Kate, Ingra, and I, how many have we hired? I don't know. I think we've hired 3 people in the post-COVID. I mean, we're a tiny little startup. We've hired 3 people. We do it because we need to build a team and we need to grow. And we need startups to hoover up all those young people pouring out of university with great degrees and big ideas. They need a job, and we ain't going to get that unless startups fire back into life. But it's not only about jobs, it's also about innovation. You know, startups are the ones creating all the innovation. The last new soft drink the Coca-Cola company invented and put on the market was Diet Coke in 1982. They don't make new products. They wait for entrepreneurs to do it, and then they buy it. And that's what all multinationals essentially do. Susan will remember something called OK Soda, which was Coke's last attempt to put a brand new soft drink on the market in the middle of the 1990s. It crashed and burned, and all the people working on it lost their jobs. That's why nobody wants to do it. So multinationals generally wait for the innovation to happen with startups. Now, startups are just brilliant at doing this. They come up with new ideas, and they get the idea off the ground, and they make the world more prosperous. They make it cleaner, greener, and better. And if I ever get to sit down with Greta Thunberg, I'm going to say, you're missing the point. Innovators, entrepreneurs, startups are already solving the climate change problem every day with electric cars and clean fuels and super batteries that can store gigawatts of power. They're doing, you know, I came across a bunch of brilliant entrepreneurs from my business school, INSEAD. INSEAD introduced me to these 3 fantastic, dynamic young women. They found a way to make carbon negative food. The more you eat, the less carbon goes. It's absolutely stunning. This is what entrepreneurs do. And without them, you know, the world is going to be a much poorer place. And yet, a lot of these startups and entrepreneurs, they can't get funding. You know, they're getting into a world where a lot of the institutional investors, the venture capital funds and the family offices and so on, are saying, we've thrown our entire fund at trying to keep our portfolio companies alive. We have nothing left ready for new businesses. And a lot of high net worth individuals, the business angels as they're called, you know, they're saying, I'm going to wait and see. I don't know what's going to happen post-COVID, so I'm going to wait and see. And you don't have to be a behavioral economist to know that if everybody waits to see what happens next, you've got a cumulative problem where nothing will ever happen. So let me try and pull all these, you know, sort of threads together. What does it mean for people who want to start their own business? And I think there's really 4 things. I've been thinking about this a lot over the last few months. I think the first thing is be really realistic. You know, if your business idea is to start an upscale travel agent or a new cafe in Manhattan, or you want to be a conference organizer, you know, because these are the things you're good at and you want to launch a business. Wait, put everything on ice and don't waste your time. You are not going to get funding for a business like that. So test your business against the reality of where we are today. Don't give up, but give it 6 months, give it a year, wait for your industry to come back and then go for it. But be really realistic about what COVID-19 has meant for all sorts of sectors that have been incinerated by what's happened over the last 6 months. Secondly, I would say trawl through all the public programs. You know, the United States has some very active programs of giving public funds to startup companies. It's probably not enough to get the whole business off the ground, but it's really a help. It's a bit weighted in the US towards R&D and tech and things like that, which is a bit sad if you want to launch a coffee shop. But it may be that even at the local level, there might be state governments, even city governments, providing some specific help for startups. Maybe they give you free office space or advice and things like that. Tap into every penny of public funding you can get. Here in Europe, we've got loads of programs specifically for startups. And as a matter of fact, we've tapped into a government-backed loan scheme where we've been able to access a substantial loan at very low interest rates, 100% backed by the government. So that's a great way to tap in. So find out what's out there. Spend some time, dig, see if there's any public funds or public assistance you can use. Thirdly, get some help. Don't think you can do it on your own. Go and find people like Dylan, Susan, people of my age, and co-opt them into your business. Because people of about my age and actually upwards of my age, you know, they're on the golf course and they're getting a bit bored. They've got their, you know, stuff all under their belt. They've done a lot of things in business and they love working with entrepreneurs. They absolutely love it. Go and find some of these. You know, some of them, they almost think it's their civic duty to help young people get a business off the ground. And they've got a Rolodex full of key people that you really want to go and meet. They can open up all doors for you that you can't open up. Go and schmooze them and then abuse them, I would say. Give them a grand and meaningless title like senior business advisor. Pay them nothing and give them a kick every day and say, what have you done for me today? And they will love you for it. And don't be afraid to go and find these guys, hook them up, beat them up, get them to help you in every way they can. That's a great thing, I think, to do. And I think the last thing I would say is don't give up, you know, because there's one thing that everybody should bear in mind. You know, the governments of the US, Japan, and Europe and the UK have pumped so far this year $3.7 trillion of newly printed money into the world economy. You know, there's a tsunami of cash. That cash has flooded into the stock market, into property, into gold, into commodities, into bonds, you name it. There's too much cash chasing assets. Assets have all gone through the roof. And you can say to a potential investor, what's your best alternative to financing my company? You want to leave your money in the bank? You get 0% interest and you're guaranteed to lose in real terms 2 to 3% of your money every year. So that's the baseline. Or you want to put it in the stock market. Believe me, the stock market has a long way to fall if there's a correction. I'm offering you the chance to invest in a company with a management team that will die in a ditch to make this business work. So I would say, be really super confident. Go and see those investors. Don't let them tell you, I'm going to wait and see. Explain to them, they've got grandchildren, they've got children. They want to have a future for their families. Tell them now is the time to act. Now's the time for everybody to act, to invest in entrepreneurs, get these businesses off the ground and get the world economy started again. So I'm going to wrap up with that. As you know, I'm a Stoic from my last talk. So I take everything on the chin and all that kind of stuff. But the main thing is, as entrepreneurs, and Kate Inger and I, we do this every day. We remind ourselves we're entrepreneurs. We're here to solve problems. Doesn't matter what it is. And we get over everything together. So listen, thank you, Susan and Del, for the chance to
Yeah,
talk.
you're
Well,
welcome.
hey,
So Josh,
Take any questions.
do we have any questions or
Josh, what we got?
on Facebook, or we
I
can't
think
figure
we've-
which way to go?
Yeah.
We've got a lot of accolades, I think, going to Brendan. A lot of people really enjoying this talk. I'll start it off, Brendan, because I'm an entrepreneur myself. I agree with everything you've got to say. I'm curious, when you mention sit back and wait for a second. If you're interested in entrepreneurship, let's see where things go. Do you have any thoughts about what might be a good idea? What sectors might be hot in this pandemic or post-pandemic time to look into if people are not quite there yet?
Well, actually, Josh, it's a great question, but I think most people go into business in a category that they already know. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, if you go into something that you're not very familiar with, your chances of failing in the first 2 years are not 20%, they're 40%. So it's a lot better, and people generally do go into sectors that they know. So you might get somebody who's been a sous chef at a restaurant, really learned his trade and thinks, I want to go out on my own and have my own restaurant. There's an awful lot of that kind of thing going on. So it's true that some sectors, obviously home delivery and tech apps that help people order things online more quickly, and car sharing and everything else, that's becoming, those sectors are obviously really hot, but it's quite a small subset of the total number of new businesses.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, we got one coming in here from Jennifer McCullum. So,
hey,
Brendan,
oh my God.
Here's a big one. So get ready. What's your biggest business failure, and what did you learn from it?
First of all, can I say Jennifer McCullum is one of my favorite people in the world. And Jennifer, we have to find some time that we're going to either talk on the phone or get together. What's my biggest business failure? I lost a ton of money, actually. I started an orange juice company about 15 years ago. Hey, Jen. Great to see you. I started an orange juice company. I was convinced it was going to work. I actually got a patent on a new packaging technology, got my patent registered, and I started selling my orange juice in France and the UK in supermarkets. I even took it to the Coca-Cola company and said, you're going to buy this from me in a few years' time. Everything was flying. And then hurricane, whatever it was called, went through the Florida orange grove, destroyed the orange crop. The price of orange juice went from $1,000 a ton to $3,500 a ton overnight, and I was bankrupted and lost all my money. That was a sobering experience.
So what did you learn from that? To watch out for hurricanes, or what?
Tell you what I learned from it is that I think with entrepreneurship, it doesn't matter how good you are, how brilliant you are, what a great idea. I always think of this thing like the boats, that you can buy a carbon fiber boat with the latest technology and a super mast and the latest technology in sails. But if you don't have any wind, you're not going anywhere. Somebody else has a raft that they sort of bound together with bits of string, and they stuck a pole in the middle with a bed sheet. And if they've got wind, they're going to move faster than you. There's always the wind. You just don't, you can't factor in, luck. You either get some luck or you don't, and it could go against you, it could go for you. Just get back in the saddle, try again.
Awesome. And so, Josh, do we have one more before Jill closes out?
Well, we've got a little bit of chatter from your sister, Brendan. I think just some comments.
Josh. She's been teasing me for the last, ever since she was born. Everybody else on here, my sister is a stand-up comedian in Seattle. So whatever happens next, I think it's, anyway, Pam, I'm going to allow you to talk.
Can I just say I am not a hipster? Let's just get that clear. No, I am an entrepreneur because of my brother, who showed me the way. But one of the things I've really admired about you, Brendan, is how gritty you are throughout all of the businesses I've seen you with. And I wanted to know, what helps you stay the course when you have setbacks and you remain so positive and determined?
Well, it doesn't feel to me that way, but I think I've always been incredibly lucky to have, and I'm going to bounce it right back at you, sis. Fantastic family. As you know, we had wonderful parents, and that gives you some solidity in life. And I've always thought of myself as being very, very lucky. I'm not in a position to complain about anything. So I'm a stoic, you know, I get on with things. And I think, by the way, as I said before, anybody who doesn't know what stoicism is, go and get a copy of Marcus Aurelius's Meditations or Seneca or Epictetus and have a read and just think about how to take it on the chin when things go wrong. It's really absolutely inspirational stuff.
Awesome.
It is. Brendan, a couple months ago, you said that I've read it way back when. I reread it, and I thank you for that every day. Yeah.
All right, so Jill, wrap us up.
So wrapping up, final thought is E pluribus unum is the motto of the United States of America, believe it or not. And it stands for out of many, ... one. And I think we should chew on that as we heading the next 30 some odd days to the election. Because that is our motto, supposedly. I'm not sure if Google has that right, but I think they do. And yeah, just think about that for a while. Out of many comes one. Brendan, I cannot thank you enough. I know they're going to stick around for a while. I know you got a soccer match, so we're going to go off Facebook Live, and then some of the folks can chat.
For those of you that want to hang on and say hi to Brendan, just hang on. I'll get Facebook Live turned off and recording turned off, and we'll have a little bit of a reunion. So with that,
hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray!
Thank you, Brendan.
Everybody have a good one. Bye for now.